Good day, this is Robert Ferguson, and I am joined by an established, awesome group of people, our panel, which I'll be introducing to you here in just a second. But in this live, as well as those who catch the replay, our goal is to talk about a few things. Number one, I'm just looking at my notes. We're going to talk about excess body fat and its relationship with COVID-19. We're also going to talk about the role of stress in our immune system. And then we're going to kind of open up a little bit and talk about, COVID-19 as a pandemic, what's going on in your state, where you are, how you're dealing with it. And then we're going to give some solutions, trust me, throughout our entire time together, because everyone on this call is an expert. Number one, we have Lisa Nickel from Bay Shore, New York. New York's represented. Lisa Nickel is a certified diet-free life coach. And then we have Trish Craparata. I hope I said that right.
Good.
You can fix that later, okay? But Trish is a nutritionist and weight loss expert from Barrie, Ontario, Canada. So Canada is represented. Then we have Barbara Chris. BK Fat Loss is her brand name. She's a certified diet-free life coach, and she's from Camarillo, California. And then we're joined by Dana House, who is a family life educator and nutritionist from Augusta, Arkansas. So yes, there are people that live in Arkansas, people. And then we have Patrick D. Pothier, I think I said that right, who is a holistic health expert who resides right here in the beautiful Ventura, California. And that's where I reside and spend most of my time. And I'm very happy and honored that you guys have made time to share information. And if you look at the information below, all of these individual coaches, you can contact them if you're looking for personal coaching for weight loss, for improving overall health. I mean, you name it, they're extremely talented and skilled at what they do. And they've made time today to have an open conversation with the goal of helping you. So let's start off with Dana House. Dana, give us an update of what's going on as it pertains to COVID-19 in your beautiful city of Augusta in the state of Arkansas.
Well, Robert, we have done so well in Arkansas. We have really stayed under the projections that they had for us. So with just everybody doing what they're supposed to do, our governor has done really well at allowing us to, he had to just try to get up and tell us exactly what to do. He's made some guidelines, some restrictions, and we have shut down on some things, but he's also given us a lot of room to be wise and to handle it the best that we can personally. And so Arkansas as a whole has done an excellent job of just using that wisdom, using those guidelines, staying safe, keeping our death rates fairly low, and keeping those out of the hospital that they thought we were going to see that overload. But we flattened the curve in Arkansas. So very pleased to see what we've done. Yes, so proud of our state, our governor, and the leaders who have guided us. They've done an excellent job.
When I was given an opportunity to come to your beautiful city, and we got to spend time helping people as it pertains to nutrition and weight loss, I did realize it was somewhat of a Bible Belt. So how are people dealing with prayer in that area where you live? Like, are they trying to force like church activity, or are the churches and the leaders actually respecting the guidelines that have been put in front of us?
Our churches have been the church. They have done a fantastic job, which makes me so proud. And I'll say just across the world, across our nation, I have loved to see how our church, we're looking like one all over the place because we're all facing this together. I love how all the churches are doing their online services and devotionals. Some of them are doing daily devos for lunch breaks for people to get on. And a lot of ours around in Arkansas are doing daily updates and encouraging videos. So they have followed the restrictions because, I mean, the word tells us to listen to our authorities and those over us. And when they're doing it out of care and concern and not out of dictatorship, you know, they're just trying to take care of us and help other people. So as the church, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to help others. And so sometimes you just got to do that a different way than what you're used to doing it. And I've seen the church rise up and do a great job of reaching out and being the church, not within the walls, but outside the walls. And I think there's a lot of people that have been encouraged because of that.
Well,
It's been a good thing.
All right. Well, you guys, for those of you who want a perspective of where she lives, if you ever watched, what was the show? It was like the Bible Belt where you couldn't even dance or you would go to jail. Footloose.
I was thinking more like Mayberry.
Okay. All right. And then we have Trish. Trish from Ontario, Canada. How are you Canadians dealing with this?
I think we've done a great job. Right now, we've got Ontario and Quebec as we're on our this range, right? So we did really well. We shut down the country really early, like a month and a half ago. Our prime minister, we have a prime minister, not a president for Canada, and then we have premiers for each province. So our prime minister, amazing, stepped up to the plate, made sure everybody shut everything down, schools, everything like that, and everybody that could go home from work has been home, and they moved that really, really quickly. Within a couple of weeks, our the funds, you know, the unemployment funds came within 3 days. Everybody got money in the bank within 3 days, and so that part of it, from an employment perspective, made people that had to stay home feel a little bit more comfortable that they had some kind of income to kind of get them through that. But it's so weird to kind of not think about going out anywhere or going, you're driving around, you don't see many people, whatever. But I'm really happy that we're the only two provinces that are going like this. Other ones have either done this or they're on the way down, or we have, I think Nunavut, which is a Northern Territory, has zero still. So they're not affected at all. So the northern provinces are not affected as much. But we've done very well. We shut down early and have kept that from going up. Ontario is feeling the long-term care now, and our prison facilities are where it's skyrocketing right now, not the general population. And all of our churches went online right away. So the churches closed down too, and they all went online. So, and now it's just the long-term care facilities and the prisons that are starting to do this again, because they have to figure out what to do. And our meat packing plants and things like that are starting to. So that's where that peak is going. But for the general population, it's been very good.
Now, excuse my ignorance. You know,
No
a lot
problem.
of Americans are somewhat ignorant when it comes to Canada. But Trudeau is still in power, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Prime Minister Trudeau.
He's a
yes.
prime minister.
Yeah.
And I saw something on him this morning, looking pretty sexy. You know,
He's got a great coif. He's got a great coif, yeah, and the coif is perfect.
Oh yeah. So okay, well, kudos to you know.
Yeah, he's done very well. He stepped up to the plate when nobody thought he did, and all of our premiers, which are the provincial leaders that we thought were just out for blood when they got elected, have all stepped up to the plate. We're really impressed with the government, the way they're responding, and I think that really shows a lot that, you know, when in a crisis, they're going to help out, especially from the income perspective and from the safety perspective.
Nice.
They're really, yeah. Other than the tragedy in Nova Scotia that happened, which is not related to COVID, but you know, they've done very well.
All right. Well, thank you. And Patrick from
Sir.
Beautiful Ventura, California. How's it going in that neck of the woods?
So in Ventura County, part of Southern California, Ventura County is doing rather well. They shut down the county pretty quick after the announcement came out. And so when you compare us to the other counties here in Southern California, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange County, Ventura is doing rather well. We have 452 cases. As of today, we've had 14 total deaths. We went an entire week where we didn't have a death, thank goodness. So as a county, we're doing rather well. We put the measures in place, the social distancing, wearing the mask, wearing the gloves, and people kind of abided by that. Whereas the other counties aren't doing so well. Los Angeles County in particular has just had horrendous numbers, and they're still staying pretty focused on locking that county down. Where I think Ventura County might have made a mistake in the last couple of days is that they actually opened up their beaches and parks, where Los Angeles didn't. And we're going to be 90 degrees plus over this coming weekend. And so friends and family that are in Los Angeles, Riverside, San Bernardino counties are all saying, hey, how are the beaches? We're planning on coming out. And so we're getting an influx of people that actually don't live here much like the state of Florida, where a bunch of people just showed up all of a sudden. We're going to have an influx. And so is that going to drive our numbers back up again? I'm not real sure, but I am very, very concerned. I live, I don't know, maybe 3 miles from the closest beach. I'm not going to the beach this weekend. I'm just not.
I'm
But
with you. I won't be there either.
That's 2 of you. That's good.
As a county, I'm very impressed that they've been able to keep the death rate down. And when we talk a little later on about the impacts of that and why these people passed away, some pretty staggering statistics around why they passed away. So,
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Patrick. And all the way from New York. What's going on in New York there, Lisa?
Well, you know, we're the big hot spot and epicenter of all of this. So New York, let's see, we all have to wear masks. Everybody here is mandated. I think the mandate is like 2 years and above.
wow.
If you're not social distancing and you're out, you need to have a mask on. My area, we know, I mean, New York, you see the governor, he's always on, if you're watching him, and the
Like every day
mayor.
he's on.
Every day.
Yeah, he's great. I love it.
Okay. Difference of
That's a
opinion
Canadian
there.
opinion. It's a Canadian opinion.
It's a Canadian opinion. I have a different opinion as a New Yorker living under his rules, so I guess you can say. I don't, as far as, you know, Trish, you brought up how Canada, like with your unemployment, I have been, my job that I filed for unemployment, it's now been 4 weeks and I have not heard from the state. I haven't received an unemployment check. Good thing I got my money from Trump, because New York has not even called, emailed, or I have not received any unemployment from New York. We're pretty much, you know, I mean, everybody sees it. I honestly don't really, I'll jump on and hear Cuomo and de Blasio just to kind of see what they're saying. But I tune into the Trump press conferences more for my information. It's really locked down here. And I think I'm seeing people now that, you know, they don't have a place to live. You're seeing the lines for the foods here. I have, from what I seen on the news, you know, and I reached out to you, Robert, about like something, I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later. 2 of my surrounding areas here, where right in between me, are 2 of the hot spots on Long Island. So I'm on Long Island. And I just, even with the whole COVID thing, I mean, everything is about testing or social distancing. And I think my biggest problem is that they're talking about specific communities and nobody's talking about the health or what you could be doing to support your immune system. Like, that's what I'm kind of feeling right now. And it's just, you know, there's a lot of fear. I see a lot of fear. And, you know, that's kind of the way New York is. I mean, in the beginning, there was like a lot more people out. I'm not even seeing many people out, and here, if you do go out, I mean, everybody's even driving with their masks on. They're like not taking the masks off when they go out.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for that. And I think probably the flip side of what's taking place in the state of New York, if there was an other side, Camarillo, California, that's a bedroom community. I'm telling, like, life is a little interesting over in Camarillo. So, Barbara, can you talk to us about that?
Well, that was a great intro, Robert. Thank you. But truly, thank you for having this platform for us to share, you know, with everybody out there what our experience is. And as far as here in Camarillo, which is also a part of Ventura County, I think that once the hysteria sort of died down, I mean, like Patrick said, you know, we implemented controls and restrictions pretty early on. There was, I think, quite a bit of time though where, you know, food and grocery stores were just ransacked. You couldn't find anything. There was definitely a lot of fear. But what I want to sort of address maybe more currently is that I found it kind of inspirational when you go to grocery stores or you're kind of out and about. It really seems like people have become pretty resourceful with respect to trying to find solutions with how to deal with all of this. I mean, for example, we talk about the whole social distancing thing and the fact that we have to do that. Well, it almost seems like people are really focusing on the part of being physically distant, but getting creative with respect to how to still socialize and still maintain that level of kind of wellness and kind of a positive mindset. And like when we go to, let's say, grocery stores now, it's pretty amazing how those people who are literally on the front lines dealing with people every day, they've implemented some amazing controls to still allow us to get what we need to get and live, to the best degree possible, but do it safely. I've also even experienced with people reaching out with respect to trying to get healthy. And so rather than focusing so much on the things that they can't do right now, there's this kind of almost like a resurgence or like an upwelling of, I think, people trying to find out what they can do in all of this. And that's been very inspirational for me.
All right, well, that was very uplifting, Barbara. Thank you. Okay. All right, so for those of you who are listening in to this, each one of these people can help you improve your overall health. Each one of them. So if you're looking for a coach, reach out to any of them, and we'll make their information available to you, because they all are, trained and skilled at helping you reduce excess body fat. Because that's the first thing I want to bring up. And I know you guys have seen all of this, but for those who are new to this, there's a disproportionate outcome of people dying as a result of COVID-19. And a lot of it has to do with pre-existing conditions, type 2 diabetes, asthma, anything that touches on respiratory, cancer survivors, people who are newly cancer survivors, hypertension, and a lot, lupus, PCOS. The list goes on, and all of that is associated with excess body fat, which all of us can help those people reduce some excess body fat. And so what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to get each one of your perspectives, or at least like your initial thoughts when you saw the headline saying the people who are dying are the ones who have excess body fat, which is related to various cancers, diabetes, hypertension, and the list goes on and on. What was your thoughts initially when you became aware of that thing?
Well, that wasn't surprising for me, because having a type 1 diabetic husband, my world for the last 14 years has been dealing with diabetics. And knowing that when you read about diabetes, a lot of times people have elevated blood sugars and they don't even realize that they do. So this is one of those things where people who are carrying the excess fat and they don't even realize that they're at risk because they already have these elevated blood sugars, and they've got high blood pressure and other related factors in there that's going to cause them to be at risk. And we're not saying, like, for diabetics, it's not that they're more likely to get COVID, but they're more likely to have severe complications. And so that's why it's so important for people that are carrying this excess body fat to work on the exercise, getting rid of that extra weight, getting their health under control, because it's not just about the weight necessarily, but it's about those underlying factors that's going to cause them to be more at risk, not just for COVID. We're not just dealing with that. That is right now, but we're talking about long-term effects of cancers and other diseases as well. So it's just making people more aware right now that our health is a big deal, because it is more likely to be severe when we come down with an illness.
Now, since you brought up your husband being type 1 diabetic, it only makes sense that you share with those who are listening. When you became a coach and you started to help your husband, he dropped what, 40 pounds? Like, give everybody a snapshot of like what the experience has been when you actually made your husband your client?
Matt was diagnosed when he was 26 years old as type 1. He was in great health, looked like a bodybuilder. It wasn't that you would look at him and feel like he had health problems. He didn't look that way. They're not even sure what caused him to end up as a type 1 diabetic. But really, the part that had pushed us over the edge is spending 6 months in the hospital after our baby was born with heart defects. We were in there 160 days. So we left the room 7 times. We were in there a full 6 months. During that time, Matt's sugar was all over the place. He went in the emergency room several times. It's hard to take care of yourself in that situation. And during that time, he gained 35 pounds. So when we got out, I needed to lose baby weight. And then he needed to lose the weight that he had gained in there, and also work on his A1C levels and get them under control. And so that's how Robert and I connected when I got out of the hospital. And when we started implementing this lifestyle with him, he is below 7 now with his A1C. He is the most controlled he has ever been since diagnosis, and lost the weight. So it's for diabetics. It's for everybody. I mean, my toddler now, he's a heart baby. He's repaired. But for me, I'm getting to teach him how to live a lifestyle that even now he can learn what we're doing with diet-free life. And this is something that he can do throughout the rest of his life. I was a gestational diabetic, so that makes me more at risk as well for developing type 2 if I didn't take care of myself. Bauer is at risk because I was a gestational, Matt's a type 1. So right now, we're able to teach him about how to take care of his health so that he doesn't have to worry about these severe complications that come.
You know what? You know what's so cool? I love what you're saying. And so my eldest daughter is 12 and a half, and my youngest daughter just turned 10. And when we make meals, if we have, let's say, shrimp, rice, and broccoli, they know that that's a fat burning meal. Like they don't know any difference. So if you made like shrimp and rice, they're like, where's the broccoli? Where's the asparagus? Like, where's the mushrooms? It's like, it would be very odd for them not to have that bonus vegetable. So, you know, you're headed in the right direction. So thank you very much for sharing.
And it is just a part of your life. So my parents that are in their 70s, we make our plates, and my dad may say, now is this a fat burning meal? Because they know, you know, I'm gonna say, good job, that's a fat burning meal.
There's a fat
It's
burning
just part
meal.
of our lives.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. So Patrick,
Yes, sir.
I know that so Ventura County
Yep.
is largely, and I'm going to be conservative here, 70% of the county is Caucasian. Less than 3% of the county is African American. The bulk of that difference would be, you know, Hispanics. Are you privy to like some of the knowledge or around what's the demographic look like as far as the ones who have attracted COVID-19 and have died? Because, you know, like in St. Louis, for instance, 100% of the people who have died are African American from COVID-19. And all of the data, and now the research is in, nearly 40% of all deaths from COVID-19 are African Americans.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just curious, like, to find out, like, and that's one of the reasons why I've been doing like these talk shows. I'm doing a whole bunch of shows next week, speaking to the African American community, because it's disproportionate, not just in health disparities, but in health inequities, because certain things could be preventable, but they're not. And so I'm just curious, what have you discovered in Ventura County, where, you know, the large population is?
I'll be right with you, Mom.
All right, hey, Mom. That's great. So can you share some insight as to like what's going on in Ventura County as far as people who are attracting the disease as well as those who are dying from it?
Yeah, in Ventura County, we've had 14 deaths so far. Across LA County, I think it's upwards of close to 700 deaths so far. And what the health officials are all saying is, as you had indicated, that it's disproportionate, right? Because they don't seem to have the access to the healthcare that that we have. So in Ventura itself, it's primarily Caucasian white, but in Oxnard, which is right next door, it's like 70% Hispanic. And their numbers are outrageous right now when you compare Ventura to Oxnard. Their deaths are, their incidents are higher, way higher. Their deaths are way higher. It's just crazy when you do that kind of study. And one of the health directors here in Los Angeles, when one's asked that question directly about Black and brown people, why is it so disproportionate? And I was watching it at the time, and her answer took me so off guard that I turned to people that were watching it with me, and I said, watch, this will become the news story at 5 o'clock. You watch, her comments are going to be the news story at 5 o'clock. And when they didn't, I was surprised. And what she said was, they said, how come they're so disproportionate? And she said, brown and Black people have been dealing with stress since the day they were born. And somebody says, well, how can you say that? Everybody deals with stress. And she said, no, not in the way that they deal with it. They've been discriminated against racially and ethnically. They have been discriminated against since the day they were born, and you have not. And that stress is causing this to this date. And it's something that we need to address, not only as a state and a city, but as a country. And I was so surprised it wasn't the lead story on all of the major news articles that day. And the same thing came out of a conference with Dr. Foskey out of Trump's team. He had said the same thing, is that it's so disproportionate because this particular group has been dealing with stress since the day they were born.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I did a show yesterday with Fat Man Scoop, who's a pretty famous rapper. and we talked about that. And I said, hey, man, I brought up stress. And he's like, oh, stress is killing everybody. I go, yeah. I said, but here's the deal. Everybody has to deal with stress. It's not just Black people or Latino. It's everybody. However, if you want to really dive in deep, my perspective is African Americans, based on what you just said and what we know to be true, they cope with stress really well. They play cards, they play games, you know. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Glory. You guys ever see Glory?
I saw it.
So if you watch the movie Glory, there's a part where Ferris Bueller, can't remember his real name, but the guy who plays Ferris Bueller, who's like the general or the captain or whatever, he's walking around and everybody's in their tents, and all the Caucasian generals and leaders are reading, sleeping, and all of the African Americans, the Blacks, were singing and fellowshipping because that's how they dealt with stress. And he admired that. And I believe that that's not an escape, because I believe a lot of people in those demographics are able to deal with that. I think it has way more to do with some other topics that I'm going to bring up, and I want you guys to all comment on it. I put together like the fact 8, and it's like 8 things that people can do while we're going through this to help optimize their immunity, their immune system, and put them in a position where not just during this moment, but after this moment, where they can improve their overall health. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And thank you, Patrick. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go to Barbara, because Barbara lives in a bedroom community of people that get to sleep a lot.
That's twice. That's twice.
All the time.
I mean, like, everybody's got an acre in Camarillo. Like, everybody's living, they're comfortable. So
I don't have an acre.
Okay. I mean, but you know what I'm saying. Like, so I guess my point is, like, as it pertains to you, and you look at asthma, and you look at diabetes, and you look at, hypertension. As a Diet Free Life coach, all of you can help people with this. Like, anyone who has hypertension, who's a diabetic, if you're looking for a coach, you should reach out to one of these 5 people, because they can help you, like, make life better now and then moving forward. So Barbara, what are your thoughts on kind of like coming from, Dana, Trish, Patrick? What are your thoughts on?
They all provided such great insight on one, not only the underlying risk factors that can contribute to the severity of, if you were to contract the COVID-19 virus, and how severe it can be. And what it makes me think about too is for those of you who don't know, I spent nearly 20 years in the occupational health field. And in that profession, my primary responsibility was to help our employees stay healthy and safe. And a big part of that was educating them on just overall wellness and how important that is, not just for them to do a really good job, but in life in general. We knew that if they would be, they're leading a healthier lifestyle, if they were exercising, if they were moving, that they could, one, do their job better, that they would show up, that they would be more able to deal with stresses of life, right? Whether it's, emotional stress, whether it's, physical stress if you're getting ill. It ties all into that. And I believe now as a coach, helping someone to achieve, a healthier lifestyle, to drop excess fat, to address these risk factors that we know contribute to many diseases, whether it's cancer or severity of, the COVID-19 virus, all that. We know that if we can address these knowns and try to bring down that risk factor, it's so powerful for people. And I see it across the board, in the corporate world, in the aerospace industry that I used to work in, now as a coach, it's literally, it's the same. It's the same, and addressing how we can hit these knowns and, provide a solution for people.
Well, thank you. And so I want to talk about stress because
Hey, Robert?
Yeah.
Just real quick, while you switch to Barbara, I took the opportunity to look up the cases and the death rate of the population here in Ventura County. So it turns out that Latino is making up close to 39% of the cases and 7% of the deaths. White is making up 46% of the cases and almost 86% of the deaths. And African American / Black is making up 1% of the cases and 0% of the deaths.
I got a good chance then.
Yeah.
When you compare that against the amount, and that's the makeup of Ventura County, though.
Right.
Because if you look at the population as it breaks out, Latinos make up 45% of the population, white makes up 44%, and blacks make up 2%.
So we're at 2% now.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were at 3%.
Did they go to Arkansas?
Hey.
Great play.
Hey, so Lisa, I want you to understand that this is, out of all the counties probably in California, and there's not many, this is the county that is all about supporting Reagan big time. His museum is right here in our county.
Yeah, it is.
And I was a guy who did presidential security for Ronald Reagan for a year. Right? So I thought the man was amazing. He treated me extremely well. And it's one of the moments in my life that I'll never, ever, ever forget. I did 11 trips with him on Marine One, where we took him to his ranch. And I thought he was amazing. Just so you know, it's laying the foundation.
All right.
So that being said, I want to shift to stress because you're a single mom. You have your business. You also have a occupation.
Mm-hmm.
Life must be really, really tough. How are you dealing with stress, and what are some of the things that you can share that can help people who are dealing and faced with a ton of stress?
Well, actually going back, I think it's about like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, I'm not really stressed. I was stressed. I had a little bit of stress where it was like, okay, like what's going on? Like I had no idea, like felt like the world was like about to end here. Like, I mean, I was scared. Like, I didn't know if it was real. Like I was scared to go out, and I honestly, I turned to my Bible and that's kind of like where I had to go to my faith and calm myself down. I had to shut off the media. I had to step away from Facebook. I had to stop listening to all the noise and all the doom and gloom that I was seeing and hearing, and just, you know, we're going to get through this. It's going to be a day by day. It's going to be a process, and we'll get through it. I've never been one to worry or stress about money. So, you know, again, like the way that I look, no, I have not gotten my unemployment check. You know, I'm on, my company has me on furlough. So I guess I still kind of like, it keeps going, like every 2 weeks they reevaluate and see what's opening, you know, like maybe as like other states opening up, because I'm sure it'll be a long time before New York opens up, which means that like a lot of my clients won't open up. So, you know, we'll see what that happens, but my company has me on furlough and it's a wait and see. And with money, I mean, we're all in this position. This is everybody. So what am I going to do? Like, we're all in this position, but during this time, I can be resourceful. I can go to what I know, which is health and wellness, and, you know, and I'm not even saying like, you know, making money with that at this point either, but educating, you know, like sharing that knowledge with people in this time, because I don't see a lot of that being shared. And that's what I'm most passionate about. But I've learned a lot about stress too. Like a few years ago, I went through a very stressful time and I actually thought that I was depressed. I had really bad anxiety. I was tired by 3 o'clock, and it was my adrenal. I went to my doctor and I was like, I think maybe I need like a prescription for, you know, something. And we did blood work, and I found out that you know, my adrenal glands were shot. So when it comes to stress and the body, like I know all about that. And I learned about that. And so it wasn't like an antidepressant that I needed. I needed to get my body functioning again. And, you know, and I did that working with my doctor. And so now it's like, now my body, especially like if you're stuck in that fight or flight mode, and that's where I was like a few years ago, there are supplements that I take. I haven't had to, even through this crisis, like, I don't know, I've learned how to deal with that stress or get my body, you know, maintain it through my eating, really, you know, let food be very medicine. So I know how to eat. Even when I'm stressed, like now I'm the type of person that when I'm stressed, normally I don't eat. Like I can't eat. Some people are the opposite. But what I do in those times is I do make sure that I'm eating, at least I'm having like a protein shake and throwing some veggies in there, you know, mixing it all up, because I can usually get that down. And that helps then with my stress levels throughout the day too, as long as I have food in my body, you know?
Well, you're right. Like eating is one of the best things you can do when you're dealing with like stress.
Yeah.
And like you said, many people don't eat. I'm more like that. Like I'm the kind of person that if I'm overly stressed, I just won't eat.
Yeah.
But my nutrition knowledge says, as a coach, Robert, eat even if you're not hungry. Right? So you just
And
eat.
going back to even like Dana, what Dana was saying before too. So, you know, with underlying conditions. So on the outside, I mean, and this is going back like a few years ago too, like on the outside, I look like a healthy person, but I was pre-diabetic and I did not know that. So, you know, and then it was probably maybe about around the time that I ended up meeting you, right, a little bit before I met you. But I was pre-diabetic at that time. No, it was a year, and it was a year of trying to figure out, okay, like I'm pre-diabetic and what do I do about this? I had no idea. Like I was working out, I was eating, you know, I thought I was eating healthy. I was eating, you know, the salads with the chicken, you know, but I wasn't eating it right. And I learned the Diet-Free Life method and it changed that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, for those of you in New York, if you're looking for a coach, you need to get with Lisa like ASAP, because this is a good time right now, Lisa, to build your practice.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people, because, you know, I was talking to some people recently, and they're like, oh, no one's thinking about losing weight during this time. COVID, I go, no.
Are.
Trust me,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people. You know, we had one of my celebrity clients did a little post on Instagram, and she talked about, you know, because everybody noticed how she was losing weight, and they used to body shame her quite a bit. Her name's Katie. She's on a show called Vanderpump, and she made a comment about how Diet Free Life is really, really helping her, and she's down 20 pounds. Life is great. She's feeling good. She don't feel like she's on a diet. And people were like, I mean, we've received a lot of emails, a couple thousand insights on people saying, please, how can I get some help? And so we're just slowly making that available to the coaches, so the coaches, you guys, can help these people improve their health at this moment in time. I want to shift to Trish over in Canada, where it's always cold. I don't think it's ever hot.
It snowed yesterday, so yeah, it's still cold here.
Okay. At least in that part. Now, Trish, you know about stress because one, you coach clients. Two, you're a breast cancer survivor. You have that, you know, behind you, which says and speaks volumes to me. What are some ideas and tips you can share that you're using for yourself, as well as they can help other people who are battling with anxiety and concern?
Yeah, it's a big factor, especially when you're faced with a immortality, like you get that diagnosis, you have breast cancer, and all of a sudden your world completely falls apart. And it turns upside down. But thank goodness I had great doctors, great surgeons, and I put myself in a place that I'll trust them and I'll just do what I need to do if I'm going to survive this thing. And I'm grateful for that, because I wouldn't be here today if that wasn't so. But stress, it's the only time in my life I had stress that I couldn't deal with, because it was unknown. I didn't know what the end result was going to be. But from some good advice and whatnot, the best thing was to get a full night's rest. So to look after myself as I was going through that, because my treatment was a secondary part, plus reconstruction after that. I had a long journey to get to where I am today. And in order to do that, I had to make sure that my mind was clear and that I had an ability to give my body a chance to repair itself. To do that, the biggest things were nutrition, rest, and getting some exercise to get some movement. Now, I didn't have a problem moving because I moved all the time because I couldn't deal with the stress. So for me, I know about stress. If you stand still with stress, you're going to make your body sick, because it's like a fight or flight, like Lisa said. Your body goes into that cortisol level starts to increase, and it's there because you're ready to go. And if you don't do anything with that, it stays in your body. So now you got to, and if you don't get rid of it by either exercising or moving or sleeping well or meditation or do whatever you have to do to get rid of it, if it stays in your body long enough, now you've got inflammation issues as well. So my advice that I got, that I still practice today, is making sure that your nutrition, I dove right into nutrition because I knew if I was going to come out of this, which I didn't know I was, that my nutrition was going to be number one. If I can feed my body properly to repair and get back on track, that was going to be number one. Second part was, what else can I do? I had to make sure I was moving all the time. It wasn't a problem because I need to move. And then getting a good night's rest. I have to tell you, I've never lost a night's sleep ever in my entire life. Like everything I've gone through in my life, including breast cancer and everything like that, my sleep is perfect. I get 8 hours of sleep perfectly.
Hey, can you help?
And you know what it is? A lot of it is. It's tough. I talk to a lot of people and they don't, but the idea is you have to make sure you prepare yourself before. Like get some quiet time before you go to bed. Don't put a TV in your bedroom. Don't put any noise, electronics, nothing in your bedroom. It is a quiet space that your body needs to rest. If you don't give yourself that's where your body does all the repair, is when you're sleeping. Oh, if you don't give it that chance, it's not going to do that. So get a good night's sleep. So
what do you think of Puff Puff?
I've never done it before in my life, so I have no idea. But whatever it takes to make you relax and get a good night's sleep, you are good to go.
Okay.
Just be responsible, people.
Okay. I'm just saying. I'm being.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
open-minded.
actually with the cannabis stores opening up, and they're big in Canada too. They're controlled measures and whatnot. And it does. It helps with anxiety, helps with a lot of things, and helps with kids with autism. There's so many good things about cannabis that in the right way that will help. And if that's one way to help you sleep, then do it. I don't know what it feels like, whether you can put your body to sleep like that, or I don't know. So whatever it takes, you gotta try and get a good night's sleep.
I'm gonna let you know when we're done with this. I'm gonna go over to the dispensary and see if I can get some help.
Good. You gotta get a good night's sleep, okay?
Okay. All right, you guys. So look, I have like you guys are amazing minds. So what I want to do is I want to kind of like go around and I'm going to ask each one of you to comment on the 8 things I believe that people can do to help them at this moment and even after we get through this crisis, the things that will help them reduce some body fat and get their bodies in homeostasis, like in a healthy place. So let's start with Dana. Okay, Dana, just I want you to just be Dana. And one of the she's like, I don't know how to do anything other than that. Well, okay.
I got that covered.
So even like I know in your area where you guys have it under control, one of my tips as far as the Super 8 here is self-isolate, meaning stay in the house as much as possible during this moment of time. Can you give some tips and thoughts on that?
Yes. Now, in Arkansas, where we are, this has been easy for us. I know in other places, it's more difficult for them to do the things they need to do. And also because it's so important to still get outside, to not be so isolated that you go into depression. We've got to get out. We've still got to socialize, like Barbara was talking about. It may just look different than normal. So here, the fact that I have a diabetic husband, I have a heart warrior toddler, and my parents are in their 70s. So I'm on shutdown because it's my responsibility. And that's what people need to understand. I've heard people say, I go into Walmart, I don't wear a mask, I'm healthy. Well, thanks. Somebody else may not be so healthy. So wear the mask to help them. So a lot of what we're doing right now is about helping other people. So we have isolated ourselves. We do Walmart grocery pickup, but I've only done that twice. I try to plan the best I can so that we don't have to do that much. And we go out where my parents are on a big farm, so we still get outside. We enjoy the sun. We're working in the garden, we're planting trees, but we're staying away from the public. Now, as far as Matt goes, he's had to go to meetings at school because he's part of the administration. But he's in his mask, he's in his gloves. He wears a long sleeve shirt. He takes that stuff off before he comes into the house, puts it in the washing machine. So, we're doing the best that we can if we do have to go out. But we've, especially just for me, I'm able to be on lockdown. And so that's what I've done to protect those that are around me. So if you do have to go out, wear your mask, wear your gloves, take your Clorox wipes, wipe everything down, do the best you can. But think about others when you're thinking about isolating. It's not just about you. But during that time, do things to help you feel good. If you are feeling down and out, reach out to somebody. Keep those relationships going. There's lots of sermons online right now so that people can connect and be encouraged. And think on things that bring you joy. Do something that brings you joy. When we were in the hospital, we were basically quarantined, so to speak, for 6 months away from the world. And during that time, the only thing you can keep control over is your own thoughts and yourself. So for me, I thought about what was positive, what was good, and what I was thankful for every day. So when I woke up and I knew that Valor was still alive that day, I was thankful for one more day with my baby. I didn't know what tomorrow had, and I didn't know what that afternoon had. but I was grateful that I had a healthy child right there. I had a supportive husband and supportive family. So when I walked out of that room to go get my coffee, that was one of the positive things of my day. When I left the room, if I ever felt like, oh, I feel down today, I would say, no, I do not, because I have a baby that's precious. I have a good husband. I have a good family. And I just reminded myself, the Bible says, take those thoughts captive. And so during this time when you're away, do something that brings you joy. Think on those things that make you happy. Take those ugly thoughts captive and do what you can to protect yourself and protect others.
You're on mute, Robert.
You're on mute.
Robert, you're on mute.
No,
You did that on purpose.
so I thought,
You did that on purpose?
well, I think God was in control of that, because I was talking about how I know Dana likes to go out and party, and
With my
there's
church
hands on.
people.
So, all right, well, that was great advice, and thank you for sharing that. And so, Barbara, I want to go to you for telehealth, because right now, I was talking to Dana earlier. I wake up and there's moments where I feel like my throat's bothering me. I go, man, do I have the corona? Like I believe that other people must be feeling the same thing. Like you have days where, like, you go, I think I got the corona. And then, what I do, I just go to the refrigerator and grab a Corona. I really got it. But telehealth is something that we were aware of before the corona. And, I think more people, I strongly recommend they use that instead of rushing and assuming they have some extreme negatives or that they may be positive for corona. What are some of your thoughts on the telehealth? Because I believe that's part of the 8 recommendations I tell people to go with to maximize their situation.
Telehealth is a huge resource, so helpful. In fact, I think a lot of people who normally with their insurance carriers, I know like with mine, before there was a copay associated with if you use telehealth, and now during this COVID season, they've eliminated the copay. And that's really to encourage people to to still get the help that they need, not feel like you're just being cut off if you're not, COVID positive or whatever it may be. You're still able to get help, but we're due for health care. But you're doing it in a smarter way. And like what Dana was saying, you're doing it in a way that you can still protect other people. If you're going to be unknowingly either infected or infecting others, you still have those resources available. So you don't feel like you're being completely, alienated, that we have nothing available to us. Because I think a lot of people kind of felt like that early on. It was almost like, well, shoot, what if I need groceries? What if I need toilet paper? Is there going to be anything available? What if I do get sick? What am I supposed to do? And that, when we're talking about stress, that created so much stress for people to think that, from literally having everything at our fingertips, we felt like we had nothing. And so this resource of telehealth is so huge, for people to be able to reach out. And then also, for my parents, my parents are home. They're in their 70s. My dad's is in his 80s. And it's been hard not communicating, but seeing them, in person and, hugging them when I want to. It's been really hard. In fact, I think I shared with you on Easter Sunday, I went to go deliver flowers and some goodies there to their house. And we were like 20, I dropped on their porch and let them up the door. I was like 20 feet away and waving. And, we're all crying because we wanted to spend so much time together. But I know that there's a purpose for it. It's protecting their health. And so things like telehealth, where we can still get to the resources that we absolutely need, but we can still do it in a way that protects, like, my parents. And that's what I think of. I think of me too and my son, people that I love, but I think of my parents and that how I would hate to be unknowingly infect them by, not thinking things all the way through. So
all right, well, thank you. So again, self-isolate, use telehealth. And then the third thing is, 70% of our immune system is gut bacteria, like the lining of our intestines. So knowing that, there's things that you can eat or consume that can support your immune system. And there's things that you can ingest that can actually create havoc with your immune system. And right now we want to have a strong immune system. So one of the tips that I've been sharing, Trish, is during this period of time, don't eat deep fried food because it doesn't nurture your immune system. I'm not saying to avoid it forever, but at this moment in time, that's one of the tips that I've given people that they can do. And so I want you to like shed light on that, or maybe you want to take it somewhere else, but it touches on nutrition as it pertains to like optimizing your immune system during the COVID-19.
Yeah, it's a good tip, because right now we're in isolation, we're stressed, we're not doing our normal activity, and we're not doing our normal thing, whatever that ends up being. But the foods that we ate while we weren't in quarantine were different, because we were moving differently, we were doing things differently. So we did other things to help our immune system. Now we're more stressed. So you're right, fried foods are not good, because they're only gonna create those bad bugs. So it's really a balance. So how I look at it is, try to keep your nutrition as clean as you can. You know, bake when you can, use olive oil, things like that, without things that are going to add to your immune. And if you're on antibiotics, probiotics. So there's things that you can take for your gut health, like you had posted a tea with turmeric and things like that. There's anything that's fermented actually for your belly. So yogurt, sauerkraut, things like that. So if you add those things into your diet to help those good bugs flourish, including a good probiotic. And remember, probiotics aren't good for everybody. There's a certain probiotic that works best, but if you can get the probiotic naturally through food, I always believe that go that route first, and then supplement if you need to. But your foods and whatnot, so yogurts, Greek yogurts, so sauerkraut, apple cider vinegar, like making tea with lemon and ginger and turmeric, and having a drink of that will help your gut health. And anything you can do to boost the good bugs and get rid of the bad bugs. So you're going to change your eating habits because you need to, because you need to fight. Your body needs to fight. If it needs to fight now, you need to have it in the best shape you can, give it the best chance. So eating clean as you can, and adding those natural foods and fermented probiotic type foods into your diet will help. And then that way, by the time you're done this, I think we have a unique opportunity right now to educate people on things like that, Robert. So I'm glad you brought it up. So we have a very unique opportunity right now to educate people in those things. Like, what can you do at home to change what you're eating that you were eating before that is going to complement or improve your immune system? So in case you do get ill, it's going to help you do that. And if you are taking an antibiotic, and you have a doctor that says, don't take a probiotic. If your doctor isn't saying, here's the antibiotic, and don't forget to take a probiotic, you haven't got a good doctor. And those are hand in hand. Like, you need the probiotic to to boost those good bugs, as an antibiotic will kill some of the good bugs as it's trying to destroy the bad ones. So all of those good things. So clean eating, yogurts, ginger, turmeric, things like that you can have to give you a chance. And keep away from the heavy foods and the fried foods and things that are only really not going to do you any nutritional value. So fried food is, that's all you eat, and you eat bread and things like that, you're really not doing your body a good service. And it's only in the basis of thinking, if I get this, will I survive it? And what are my chances of surviving? If I can help my body get in that position, then that's the best way you can do it.
Well, there you go. So that's, to me, this is a great opportunity for people to step up and upgrade their nutrition understanding, which would result in dropping some body fat. This is where I believe, being a coach like you guys, this is the time. This is a great time for you to take on clients. It's a great time for clients to look for someone like you guys to help them. So we will make available your information so they can reach out to you. I strongly recommend it to anyone. It's like, this is the time to like upgrade this part of your life. Increased activity. We know helps with gut bacteria. It's kind of tough when you're kind of limited to go outside, but you can still go outside. What's your thoughts on that, Patrick? Like, what are some tips you can give people? I mean, I know we got YouTube. There's a lot of things online. People can work out at home. Even Lacey, one of our Diet for Life coaches, she's teaching like more classes than ever, reaching more people than ever, using Zoom. and
Right.
technology to teach people how to like work out and get them to work out.
Yeah, this is such an exciting time right now. This is definitely not normal as we know it. If you look back like 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, we weren't doing this. We weren't doing Zoom calls, and we're doing Zoom calls now for everything. Chamber of Commerce meetings. Today I've been on 4 Zoom calls, everything from Lions Club to networking. And so the opportunity to do something like body movement, exercise, is becoming more and more available. You're seeing more and more announcements of people saying, hey, I'm willing to do this for free. Just kind of sign up and sign in, and we'll take an opportunity to bring you through a 30-minute workout. That's exactly what you need. So the opportunity is definitely there. And how it works in conjunction with what we're all talking about is it's the second part of a 3-legged stool. You have a balanced diet, you have some body movement, and you have the right mindset. You put those 3 together, and you're going to be able to win. You're going to be able to drop body weight. You're going to be able to drop body fat. And now is the perfect time to do that, because if you listen to all the experts, if you watch all of the announcements, the next time it's going to happen is in the fall timeframe, that we're going to have a second wave of corona, and it's even going to be more deadly because it's going to coincide with the flu season. So you're going to have a double whammy there. So the opportunity to become healthy now with an immune system, with your diet, with your body fat, and the best way to boost that up is through movement and exercise. And it also helps with your mindset, right? You're out in the sunshine, you're walking, you're seeing nature. It just makes you feel better. So now is the perfect time to add some body movement to it. We've been teaching how to eat the right combinations of food so that you can eliminate body fat. And then when you bring in the second piece part, BK and I have been doing some group stuff, and we talk to them about, okay, now's the time. If you really want to lose some more body fat, is that you add some movement into it. You add some exercise. And you clearly define the 3 different types of, you got to make sure that you warm up so that you don't kill yourself, hurt yourself, hurt your muscles, make it feel bad so that you feel so bad the next day you don't want to do it again. So you need to warm up. Then you do the exercise, and please do the cool down. So you spend some time talking to your clients about that. I know we do, is to let them know it's a complete package. So again, it's the perfect time right now.
Nice. Thank you, Patrick. And in
You
New
bet.
York, alcohol.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
can I add to that too? Because sometimes people feel like maybe they're unable to exercise or that's overwhelming. My parents, I said, they're both in their 70s. Their body fat percentage is in a good range for them. They don't exercise, but they work in the yard, they work in the garden, they pick up sticks, they cut down briars, they were out cutting wood. It doesn't have to look like when we think exercise, we think treadmills and going for a jog or lift, yeah, I think that gets people stuck to thinking, I can't do that.
Yep.
But you can sweep your floor and mop your floor and dust the house and put on a song and dance. You can pick up sticks. It can be just getting up and moving and cleaning and doing yard work. And that's fantastic too.
Yeah, that's why when BK and I do our class, we call it body movement / exercise. You can take
That's
the
it.
dogs out. You can take the dogs out.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
So you don't have to be an athlete. You can just be active.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, the flip of that is alcohol. I don't know if you guys knew it, but alcohol consumption is up online as far as purchases, over 250%. Purchases in stores, I think it's like 52% increase. They used to say, hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Well, people are drinking at 11 a.m. Domestic violence is up. A lot of challenges that tie into alcohol consumption is up. So, Lisa, what's going on with the alcohol?
Well, I don't know. I don't have any alcohol here.
What's
But I have some tequila.
Okay.
I have some tequila, which is a good probiotic too, I hear.
So glad he didn't ask me that question, Lisa. You go for it, girl.
Well, we know you got some Jack Daniels somewhere nearby. Little Jackie Jack.
Well, I drink Jack Daniels on purpose because it helps with my diabetes.
Okay.
If I go go up on the Jack Daniels website. It will tell you, it will drop your numbers down, and it has worked for me. One
Okay.
drink a night.
So what are your thoughts on alcohol, Lisa?
My thoughts on alcohol,
Yeah.
as what pertaining to?
Well, I mean, as far as like, you know, have you heard anything about like alcohol consumption, some of the negatives that are taking place from overconsumption of it? Or, I mean, because you can still have a drink and optimize health. Actually, drinking alcohol can actually contribute to improved health. But it's the overconsumption of alcohol that's the negative.
Right. I think it's always the overconsumption of anything that is the negative. But I mean, here, I mean, I don't drink. Well, during lockdown, I haven't drank alcohol. I'll have a glass of wine, maybe now and then. I don't have it. I haven't gone out to the store to get it. But I just think that I don't, you know, I mean, going to some of the issues like being locked down, or I mean, that's what I call it here because it tends to feel like that. I think you just have to be careful with that, especially depending on like the relationships with who you're stuck in the house with. Like, I know that domestic violence, I did hear, you know, Governor Cuomo talking about the domestic violence rate going up. So that's kind of like a scary thought when it comes to, you know, overconsumption of alcohol and people being the minds, right, you know, like the mindset of a lot of people where, you know, we can't go out, we can't, you know, like you're kind of stuck. I think that's where the problem with alcohol really is coming into place. I don't know. I'm not an alcohol person, Robert. You might want to ask somebody else.
Well, I mean, you hit on all the key points. You're right. Domestic violence is up. Divorces and separations are up. I'm sure
Stress is up. Stress is up. That's
That's
equally
up.
good too,
For
right?
sure.
stress is
They're
up.
using alcohol and drugs to increase to deal with stress. So
Yep. So
But
stress.
that increases your stress as well.
it
you
sure
know?
does, yeah.
Same thing with coffee. I mean, my alcohol is coffee. That's not really that great for, you know, your stress levels either and what it does in the body.
Right.
You know, again, it's overconsumption of things. But yeah, I think like it worries. You know, hearing about the alcohol, you know, hearing things like that, and then hearing some stories why we're stuck here, especially with kids being in the home, where kids had an outlet of going to school and maybe being away from that. Now everybody's stuck. So that's kind of, you know, it's scary. It's sad thought, you know, that, and, you know, I don't.
No, I mean, I'm with you. So look, we have about 5 minutes left, you guys, and it's been a really good conversation. And I'm sure many people got a lot out of our having open conversation as experts in our expertise. But I would like some of your final thoughts and recommendations, because the thing that brings us all together is that we're all about eradicating excess body fat. And it's excess body fat that is linked toward the higher number of people who are dying as a result of COVID-19. And if you remove COVID-19, we would still be having this conversation,
Yeah.
because excess body fat linked, when it comes to postmenopausal women and breast cancer, nearly 70% is associated with excess body fat as far as recurrence and first occurrence of breast cancer for postmenopausal women. You're looking at all cancers, 30% linked to excess body fat. Diabetics, over 80% of type 2 diabetics have excess body fat. You start looking at lupus and PCOS and fibromyalgia, and it just goes on and on and on. And knowing that a large number of people that live in the world are dealing with excess body fat. I mean, not long ago, the data demonstrated that if you lived in Dubai, you had an increased chance of type 2 diabetes because of excess body fat. You live in India, even though you're vegetarian, many of them vegan, they have a major problem with excess body fat. So it's not just in the United States, it's like everywhere. So we help people with that. So those of you who are listening, if you're ready to get rid of some excess body fat, get a coach. Because in my opinion, there's nothing better than a coach, even though we have like online programs and there's books you can buy. There is nothing more effective than having a coach. If that wasn't true, then Michael Jordan would have never had a coach. Celine Dion would have never had a vocal coach. Michael Jackson would have never had a vocal or a dance coach. So we know that coaching works. It's just a matter of people going, all right, I need to get a coach, and then getting with that reputable, good coach like one of you. So in closing, let's start with Miss Dana from Arkansas, everybody. There's not much going on in Arkansas. I once went to was it a Chili's restaurant we went to?
Yeah,
We went to a Chili's restaurant, and it was the only Chili's restaurant in the world. And hear me on this. In the world that does not serve alcohol. I went there.
Thank you.
And she was all good about it. I was like, are you kidding me? I can't have a glass of wine. I can't have a margarita. I mean, I can't even have like a beer. They go, nope, and they were proud. I felt like all the people in the restaurant were going to stand up. They're going to stand up and start clapping. I'm like, this is not where I need to be. So, Dana, last words.
My last words, I hope not forever, but for right now. Don't live in fear, but live in wisdom. And I think that's big for right now. I'm not isolating out of fear, but I isolate out of wisdom to help my family, protect my family, to protect others, and come out of this on a healthier side. And I think that's the message for everyone in every area of their life. When it goes into the suicide, the depression, the violence, all of these negative things that are happening right now because of what's going on. We don't have to live in that kind of fear, but we can be growing in our knowledge and what to do to make things better. So what can you do to stay healthy right now, but also what can you do to further the health for yourself and for your family and those around you? And let this be a time when we come out with a great harvest from the knowledge that we've gained and the wisdom that we've grown in, because we chose to make a change.
Hey, Moses could not have said it any better.
That's awesome. Out. Peace out. We're done.
So shall it be written, so shall it be done.
Yeah.
What can we say
Okay,
now?
we're done. See you later.
All right, so Lisa, final words.
Oh, my final words. I mean, going even like what Dan said, it's like faith over fear. Like you have to keep your, in this time, I think it's just so important to just continue with the faith, like, and just kind of like remember, like you're not, I mean, it feels like we're alone and we're isolated, but to remember that we're all going through this. So like, even when, you know, we can't go to work, and you know what, I would just say like, even like reach out. Like I have like a community of, you know, a group of people that I've gotten to know over the past few months. And, you know, we have a group on Facebook, and it's like, you know, there was a single mom who is not going to have a house come May 3rd. And we all got together and, you know, are helping her. So, I mean, there's ways to help each other through this situation. And I think it's so important to reach out, like if you are struggling, you know, like, because there are a lot of mental health issues right now. There's a lot of depression. You're hearing about the suicide, and we just have to kind of, even like for ourselves, like if you're in a state, you know, where you're good, you're okay, like make sure that you're reaching out and, you know, pick up the phone, forget like the text message or going on Facebook, pick up the phone and actually reach out and talk to somebody and, you know, let them know that you're there.
Nice. That's great. Great advice. Trish.
Well, for me, it was, it's like the stages of grieving, right? We're grieving right now, but the stages of grieving is fear, because you don't know what you're facing. And then getting some knowledge about now understanding about what we're facing. So We've gone through the fear, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? We're not going to survive. The world's going crazy. And then the knowledge of, okay, I think it's a good time for everybody to get educated, like really get educated. Now, I'm not talking about educated on everything. Find a person, like I found so many different communities that I'm educating myself on this coronavirus as well too. The media is not one of them, but I have to watch the media to find out what's going on in my community. So that's the only reason I do that. So I think just understanding that there's some knowledge there and some wisdom, like Dana has said, that we can use then to kind of rebrand ourselves. My expectations, we're all going to come out of this, including the corporations, in a better way of living. We're going to respect our own spaces. We're going to respect our employees. We're going to have a different way of living that's going to be improved for everybody. And we're going to be better people for it, because this is the first time in the world that we're all facing the same demon. Okay, we're all facing the same thing all at the same time. There's no barriers or borders or anything like that. It is invisible and we're all facing it. So I think if you look inside yourself and what are the things that I want to do that I've always wanted to do now that I have the time for it, not just stress and go like, I should be doing something, this is weird, this is not do it. I think looking at your environment and recreating those moments that I have the time to do this now. I want to do that. I want to go, build a flower bed, or I want to write a book, or I want to do that. I think we should look within ourselves and find those things that we thought about that could bring us joy that we always put aside because we didn't have the time for it. And I think that will really help us come out of this as better people. And I think I've never seen a world full of such loving, caring people, for the majority of, that want to help each other. So I'm looking at this as we're going to come out of this as a better world, a better people, but we have the opportunity now to look at ourselves individually. So we're part of that group when we come out of this.
Nice.
And I think we're going to really just enjoy that interaction with each other again in a much way. We're not going to take each other for granted in our space and our time and our money and all of that, take it for granted. We're just, I'm hoping that we're going to come out of this as much better people, as long as we don't live in that fear. We got to move from fear to understanding, to knowledge, then to action, to do something about it. So we're coming out of this with a better perspective than we have now. Because I think everything happens for a reason. And I don't believe this was done for any reason, but it is here, and we have to look at it as what is the message in all of this. And I think we can all learn individually what that is for us as individuals, so we can then go out and be better people when we come out of this.
Nice. Now, whose dog was that was barking?
That was mine, sorry.
Okay, so
I'm
you
trying
let
to
the
keep my
dog-
kiddo quiet back there, but he just came in, opened the door, the kid and the
Okay.
dog are back there.
All right, so
Kind of
you have a
know-
dog. Barbara has a dog or two.
I have a dog.
Trish has a dog. Patrick has a dog. Dana?
At the farm, dogs and monkeys and cows and
Monkeys.
Monkeys.
So I'm the
We
only
do.
one here without a pet.
Hmm.
You need to get one. You need to get a pet.
Children.
That's just all there is to it.
No,
You
my
can get a
my
goldfish.
kids, they have a pet with their mom. So when they're with their mom, they have their awesome dog, which is great.
Get a fish. Get a fish, Ryan. Start with a fish.
Goldfish.
So when
Start
I
with the
visit,
goldfish.
hey, when I visit you guys' homes, I get to see your dog.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick.
Yes, sir. So
Look at that handsome young man there.
Yeah. Where did you go?
Now
Now
what's
he's
your
going
son's
back.
name?
say again.
No, I'm asking Lisa. What's your son's name?
Oh,
Ryan.
He's a good-looking kid.
Thank you. I think that's it.
Ryan.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Ryan.
Right.
Hey, Ryan, it's my turn to do final thoughts. You want to do them for me? All right. So in my previous life, I actually worked for a Fortune 10 company, not a Fortune 500, a Fortune 10 company before I retired. And my boss was out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And she used to like to have staff meetings 4 times a year in person in Little Rock. And I got to say, that's the first place I've ever had deep fried Twinkies was in Little Rock.
Oh.
I believe it.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Everything's deep fried in Arkansas. Let me-
Oh.
Deep fried Twinkies, and then she made me do the chocolate sauce and then the caramel sauce. And
That's an experience.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that was definitely different. So my final thoughts are that we're in a unique time. We're in a very unique time, and as we had discussed probably maybe 4 or 5 minutes earlier, we would be talking about getting healthy anyway if this thing had never happened. Right now, today, if this had never happened, right now, today, I would be talking about cancer. I would be involved in Relay for Life. We have a big event already scheduled for May 2nd, where we would walk for 24 hours raising money for the American Cancer Society. So you're all absolutely right. If we didn't have this pandemic going on, I would be talking about cancer, how to eradicate cancer, what kind of effect cancer had on the body, and why it was so important to get healthy. And then coming right out of that, I would be going into Men in Pink. And that's the breast cancer awareness, which would happen in October. Being a caregiver for my wife for the last 5 years, she is a breast cancer survivor. We're still going through that particular process. And you probably saw the tattoo. I got the pink ribbon for her.
Oh.
She was declared a survivor after all her treatments were over. So you're absolutely right. I would be talking about getting healthy. But this just adds another layer, and we should take the nuggets from the statistics that are coming out right now, is that let's help people boost their immune systems. And how do you do that? You get healthy. All the experts are saying the same thing. You don't take supplements, you don't take pills, you eat right, you exercise, and you get yourself healthy. And now is the perfect time for us to be doing that, because if we can help them along that path, and the second wave does come in the August, September, October timeframe, they will be in a much better position to survive this. Because right now the statistics are indicating every death, 85% of all the deaths across the country have underlying conditions, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, lung disease, because it's a respiratory illness, COPD, emphysema. If we can help them get healthy now, they will be ready for the second half. And they're all talking about the second wave is going to be more deadly than the first wave. So I just think everything that you've all said, everything that's ever been added, this is the perfect time for us coaches to get out there, get the clients, get them starting to be healthy. And the reason behind the coaches is because we're holding you accountable. One of the things that we learned from our group sessions is if they didn't have those people that were surrounding them that they'd have to see week to week, they might have slacked off a little bit. But knowing that they had to come back on Saturday and report what they had done for the previous 7 days, they all said the same thing. I knew I had to be good. I knew I had to be right. I knew I had to do some exercise because I knew you guys were going to hold me to it. So getting a coach, getting some help, holding them accountable, getting healthy, being ready for that second wave, this is the perfect time.
Nice.
And if we're not friends on Facebook, why not?
You just got 6 new friends right here. So reach out to us. There you go.
Oh, I thought I was your best friend.
You are my best friend.
So are you guys
I'm
ready
talking about all these people watching this right now.
Are you guys ready for this moment right here? There's a story of a lovely lady.
I know.
In a bedroom community.
You point that way, you point that way. I go like this.
Now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Let's do a high five there, Robert. Let's do a high five. There you
Yeah.
go.
So I take it that
There we
it's
go.
not important. It wasn't that important.
Coaches. No, this was awesome. Thank you, all of you, for doing this. This was so much fun. And as far as my closing words, I would have to say, with all this unknown and all these just scary thoughts out there, my one thing I would say is focus on what you have control over. So with respect to even just the whole COVID, the pandemic, we know from CDC guidelines, we know there's some sanitary guidelines to follow. We should be doing that. We know that there are physical distances that we should be adhering to, do that. But I also think that we need to maintain some level of social connection. And usually right now that's been electronically. And that's why I think sometimes when we talk about social distancing, that doesn't necessarily mean we're all going to go into caves and never see each other again. And that's not necessarily helpful. Now, with respect to our health, I like to say, and this is kind of how I coach my clients, I refer back to these like elite athletes, let's say the Jordans, or even, Kobe, which I love. these amazing athletes, they have this incredible clarity, right, with whatever their goal is. They have this just this amazing clarity with whatever their goal is. And when you think about what they do as far as how they train, how they, how they treat their body, all the things that they do in preparation for this game or whatever it is that they're doing, so that they can basically respond to any kind of situation on the field or on the court. With your own health, I mean, think of yourself as an athlete of life. I train my clients are like an athlete of life. I mean, I think we can all agree that life is not easy. We have stress, we have worry, we have all kinds of things that just, can come out of left field and throw wrenches at us, and, we're just all, stressed out. And the more we can have that clarity, so if that means that you need to drop some weight, that means that you have to choose healthier or make healthier lifestyle choices. Do those things. Do those things and take action for those things that are going to make you better at just life, right? You can adapt and you can respond better to life and what it throws at you if you're, in a healthier place, if you're making overall healthier lifestyle choices. It's so powerful and so much more empowering, I think, to get in that mindset of what you can do, those choices that you can make, that the things that you have control over. I mean, it's not a 100% sure thing that if you do all these things, you're never going to get ill, you're never going to get sick. But if you can, put your efforts into the things that will increase the likelihood of just a healthier life, and then decrease your risk of, getting these other diseases that contribute to, heart disease and, cardiovascular disease, things like that. Do those things. And if it's a matter of getting help, get the help, reach out. There's no shortage of help out there. You see all of us coaches here. We're here. There's groups available. Take action.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Barbara decided to have a second go at her last comments.
What?
He really picks on you, eh, Barb? I know.
It's like beef jerky already. I take.
Well, it's funny, Trish. So two people I give a hard time constantly is they just happen to be on my left and right now. You got Barbara.
Exactly, yeah.
And you have Dana.
So we were laughing because we were shocked that we weren't separated, right, Dana?
Yeah,
I know, I could not believe it.
Well, this was an accident. So I made a mistake because I was overwhelmed. They should never be on the same panel ever again.
I was surprised you put two Ventura coaches on the same panel.
No.
But that's okay because Barbara respects you, Patrick.
What?
She Dana's around. Her and Dana. It's like, golly, I have to work hard. Just to
I
get
think
their
you felt left out. You felt left out.
The only thing that would make this worse is if Lacey was on the same call.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Next time.
Oh, no. We've got to make sure that never, ever happens. Anyway.
Just so that you all know, we were actually almost separated the other day doing the waist measurement video.
Oh,
I can imagine. I've seen the two of you go at it there. You guys are crazy. You should start your own show, the two of you.
Yeah, very interesting. But anyway, thank you guys. And I want to thank those of you who have watched our time together. This is something I want to do on a regular basis. Obviously, right now, COVID-19 is the thing that everybody wants to talk about. But we're going to talk about just all the things that we contribute and make available to people who want to not just reduce body fat, but they want to learn about nutrition and how to eat foods in the right combinations, the right proportions, and how to eat in a way where, from a cultural standpoint, they don't have to give up the foods that they love, but they can learn how to eat them in a healthier way. And so having you guys all together will be so rewarding for people who tune in, because they will learn so much, and then they will have direct access to being able to work with you guys individually. So thank you for your time and making time for those who are looking for answers and clarity on how to make the most of this situation.
Thank you, Robert, for having us on. It's been a great opportunity.
Yeah,
for sure.
This is just the beginning. So
yeah,
this is a home run panel.
Nice to see all your faces too. That's great.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that Barbara and Dana aren't on the next one.
Oh, I don't know. I want to be on the one that they're on. I want to be in the same group there.
Yeah, we're fun.
And
That's
yeah,
right.
let's make sure we're all connected on Facebook. Because if you're not, you know, 'cause
Yes.
Lisa is awesome. She's got a lot of momentum. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope that you jump into it right now, Lisa, and just run with it.
I know.
You're gonna
I
help a lot
am.
of people.
I'm ready.
So
I think it's important now, especially now. I think that, you know, when I think I reached out to you like that one day. I'm going again. I'm sorry, I'm going like a second run, but I think like now it's like even like so important when I heard those numbers too, that Patrick was mentioning before, you know, with different ethnicities. And I was just like, but there's something that we can do about it. Like I've got the answer. We have the diet free life, and we can help so many people, you know. And my son does it, you know. I mean, it's good. It's good for everybody. Like that's how my son eats. My son, you know, was diagnosed with ADHD, and having the right foods and the right combinations helps with his blood sugars. It keeps him, you know, and even keel all day.
nice.
So there's so
great.
many different ways, you know, especially now. I think it's important.
Well, good. And thank you for bringing that up. And if you guys have ideas or topics of discussion, let me know, and then I'll pull the panel together and we'll weigh in on it.
Okay.
You know.
Sounds great.
All right, you guys have a great evening.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Stay out of trouble
Okay.
and
Now
stop
sing the song.
partying. Dina. Stay in the house, Dina. I know you
Don't
want to.
stay in the house, Dana. Don't.
She likes to go to the club. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Y'all don't listen to him. They know better.
That's right. All right, you guys have a good evening.
Yeah, you guys
Bye.
too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.